Sartharion with 3 drakes alive is a very dynamic encounter that will stretch the coordination and focus of your raiders. We start with our first tank pulling Sarth and taking him off to one side. There, the tank can sidestep to avoid many of the lava waves, and the raid won't get hit with tailswipe. No one but the tank should ever be near the dragon's head. Sarth has a fire breath that gets worse as the fight continues and will one-shot any non-tank. DPS doesn't matter at all at this point, so your melee should move early to be a Tenebron spawn point. About 30 seconds into the fight, Tenebron flies down and the second tank picks him up. Melee should already be in place, and all ranged DPS must immediately switch targets as soon as the tank has aggro. You can either Bloodlust now or save it until Shadron. Each drake that is alive and engaged will spawn void zones periodically, which you have to move out of immediately. They will one-shot you. As you can see, our paladins have Righteous Fury on and stand near the Add tank. This is both to keep spawns off the other healers and to bring them to the tank. After Tenebron hatches the eggs, the whelps spawn. Your tank who is picking up blazes must tank them all. They will always spawn on the portal, so your tank can be in position ahead of time, ready to pick them up. The second drake, Shadron, lands 45 seconds after Tenebron did. After Tenebron dies, all IE kill the whelps and any lava spawns that are up. This is an enraged blaze. They hit harder and have 3 times the health. Trank shot or a rogue with anesthetic poison can remove the enrage. Rogues can also put it on 2 weapons and use Fan of Knives to take care of multiple enraged blazes at once. The DPS burn continues on Shadron. If you didn't use Bloodlust on Tenebron, you can use it now in Shadron, and don't take his portals either. Finally, the third drake, Vesperon, lands about 50 seconds after Shadron. This is the most critical part of the fight. The raid is taking damage from Twilight Torment, your drake tank has 2 drakes on him, and the Sarth tank is getting hit for breaths that, unmitigated, hit for almost 75,000. As you can see from the raid warnings, Vesperon has spawned his first acolyte. This is the signal to your Sarth tank and healers that the breaths will start being one-shots on your tank unless you play tricks with Twilight Torment or mitigate them with cooldowns. While Shadron is up, you need to keep your tank alive somehow. Cooldowns are the best and most reliable way of doing this. Sartharion casts his breath about once every 12 to 30 seconds, and your tank needs a cooldown ready for each of these from either himself or a healer. The 2-second long cast gives you a window to react, but you have to have planned ahead of time who is going to use what when. Another trick you can try is actually crafting a set of frost resist gear for a druid. It has very high stamina and can help them survive the breaths. It's not enough without proper cooldown usage, however. At this point in the fight, you basically have won as long as no one is incredibly stupid. Just keep it together and stay focused. Once Shadron died, we started taking portals. If you want, you can still skip them. If you do skip them, though, you should still take the first portal after Shadron's death and kill the Shadron acolyte that's still up. Your healers will thank you. You will want a plate-wearing DPS to tank the acolyte in the portals. If you don't happen to have a warrior, DK, or ret paladin who's doing DPS, you can try with an enhancement shaman or a moonkin, but they will need more heals. Throughout the fight, the DPS will have to break off and AE the blazes if there are too many. If you don't do this, you'll find it's all too easy to wipe because your blaze tank got overwhelmed and the healers couldn't keep up, particularly while Shadron is still alive. While Vesperon is up, it's important that your DPS pay attention to their health. Twilight Torment can crit, so continuing to DPS with less than 6k health is just inviting death. Pretend it's back in Molten Core and bust out those bandages if you need to. If you just wanted to practice with 2 drakes, kill Shadron. That gives you over a minute and a half to kill Tenebron and take care of his adds before Vesperon lands. Congrats! The 3 drakes are dead and the fight is easy from here. Sartharion is now meleeing 75% harder, but his breaths aren't an issue anymore, so you shouldn't have any tank deaths to worry about. The rest of the fight is pretty boring to watch, so I'll use the time to go into more detail on some aspects of the fight that I didn't cover well earlier. The drakes always land in reliable locations, so before a drake lands, your drake tank should already be at that landing point. The portal also always spawns in the same spot. The drakes aren't just a distraction for your tank and your DPS. For one, as each drake dies, Sarth's melee DPS increases by 25%. But in addition, they each have effect auras, and as each dies, his aura disappears. Tenebron's aura makes void zones one-shot you, and doubles the breath from the drakes on your drake tank. Shadron's aura makes the lava waves one-shot you, and doubles the breath from Sarth on your Sarth tank. Finally, Vesperon's aura decreases everyone's hit points by 25%, but increases the mob's hit points by 25%. In addition, Shadron and Vesperon spawn acolytes down on the portal. While their acolytes are up, each has a different effect. Shadron's acolyte makes fire hit everyone 50% harder. That's the lava meteors, the waves, and Sarth's breath on your tank. Vesperon's gives the Twilight Torment debuff to everyone. It can be hard to see void zones on the ground. We've told our raiders to turn the spell effects to low. This lets void zones show up completely clearly, but hides the DK and Paladin ground AE effects that can obscure them. This is a 10% enrage. Your Drake tank and Whelp tank both pick up blazes and everyone else burns down Sarth. I hope this movie was both helpful and entertaining. Please feel free to visit us if you have any questions. Good luck in Wrath!